Powering down the school year 2020. We have some fabulous T3 hosts with us today, and they will each introduce themselves before their sections. Ronlyn Dandy is here with us, Milton Hayward, Clarence House, Ashana Wongwing, that's me, Patrick Pierre-Louis, Tia Simmons, and Sarah Thomas. So we are going to play a game. We know you love to play games on these webinars. And the first thing we want you to know is you're going to answer a couple questions. Second, get as many questions correct as you can. And then on a piece of paper or in your notes on your phone, keep track of how many questions you get right. Each question you get right is 5 points. So you tally up your points, and at the end, we're going to ask you to put in the chat how many points you earned, okay? The game categories. We have Google Classroom, where we're going to talk about how you close out your Google Classroom after this amazing experience of distance learning. I've seen some amazing Google Classrooms. And so I know that we want you to know how to close those out accurately, okay? And so SchoolMax, how will you finish up with your gradebook? What will that look like? And then storage. How will you store all of your documents on your computer, and where would you put them at? Videos. You've been recording videos for your students. Where are you storing these videos? And finally, passwords. Some of you have changed your password and noticed sometimes that the password doesn't transfer over from your email to SchoolMax. It's a different password. We're going to talk to you about why that may happen and how you can fix that issue. So let's get ready to play the game. Fact or fiction? Google Classroom. So remember about that polling area I told you about. I'm getting ready to start the poll. So get ready to answer the questions and then tally up your points for this section. All right, the poll is coming in 3, 2, 1. The poll is open. All right, you have now you have 54 seconds to finish this poll. All right, you have 15 seconds. I see so many people participating. We have 400 people finished. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The poll is closing. All right. So I'm getting ready to post the results in a second. But like I said, I've seen some amazing Google Classrooms. I rep Cluster 8. You know, I have to shout out my cluster. But yes, Google Classroom closeout. How will that look for you? All right. So I have a section here called Rename Your Google Classroom. So, well, first of all, let's talk about the questions. I said before distance learning, I used Classroom with my students. Was that fact or fiction? Your distance learning classroom should include school year 1920 in the section name. That is fact. All right. So the section needs to say school year 1920. You may never have used a section before prior to this, but make sure that you put the section as 1920. This allows you to see the time period you utilize this classroom. All right. Next, oops. All right. Next, adding co-teachers. Well, why would you want to add your admin or department chair as a co-teacher in your Google Classroom? I'll tell you why. Because some teachers find new positions at different schools in our district and they transfer. Or some teachers leave the district. Either way, someone needs to have access to your Google Classroom. In the case, a student needs to access work from this past school year to make up to make up that work for, let's say, a grade change possibly. So if you, even if you know you're going to be back at your school next year, please still add the administrator or department chair. Hopefully you discuss that with your admin to see who they prefer, the admin or the department chair. Either way, make sure you have admin or department chair or both as co-teachers in your classrooms from this year, okay? Also, a few more tips and tricks. We know that you posted on your Google Classroom stream very often because you were distance learning. Well, you know how the students can comment in those posts. We don't want them to continue to be able to comment in those posts. So in order to change the settings, you go to the stream settings and you need to choose the option only teachers can post and comment. So this prevents conversations from continuing throughout the summer, because the odds are if you're not using your Google Classroom during the summer, you're not going to be looking at the posts, and the students could be commenting and having conversations in there without you knowing. So make sure you check your streaming settings. Classroom settings from Meet. Make sure your Meet link is not there anymore. Some teachers use the Meet link in Classroom. Make sure you disable it by marking visible to students, and it should be turned off. Visible to students is turned off, and then it'll be gray. It will be gray, okay? Finally, do not archive your distance learning Google Classrooms. Why? Because students may need to complete makeup work until the grade change window closes, and the grade change window for fourth quarter doesn't close until January 2021. So we know you may have a lot of Google Classrooms, but it's important that you don't archive them, okay? All right. Okay, so that was your Google Classroom closeout, and you may have multiple questions. Make sure those are written down, and right after the next section presented by Milton, I will open up the chat for you to post those questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Milton Haywood. I will be your guide for the School Magazine grading section. Before we get started, we do have another set of polling questions for you to answer, and hopefully you get them all right, and may the force be with you when you answer the questions. And you have 1 minute to complete it, and right now it's been going on for 8 seconds by now. Ten seconds left. And we're done. So I want to review some of the questions that would address in the poll. What you see right now on your screen are 2 other references that was mentioned for question 1. And the first one is the teacher, school, staff, distance learning guide. And in that guide, that's a very important guide because that document outlines exactly the grading practices that we should be following or should have followed for 3rd quarter and for 4th quarter. For example, all graded assignments should have been assigned to the classwork category. So if you had read that document, all the teachers should have had their assignments graded under classwork as far as their assignments. Now, there were 2 exceptions to that. And then, for example, that's ESOL classes for elementary. In their particular case, only assessments would be graded for them. So, if you check that document, you would find that useful information within that document. Our second document is the frequently asked, that was based off of frequently asked questions that we received within T3. And that document gives you directions with regard to what should happen if a student did not participate during any of the sessions, opportunities during the fourth quarter, and how that student should be graded. Or, if the student only participated in the watching the TV lessons, how that student should be graded. So again, that document is a very useful document for you to review. So all these two documents are online, as well as the AP that was mentioned.
Thank you. Before we continue, just a quick reminder to please remain muted. And the section that we were covering was just to say that all of your assignments for distance learning for this fourth quarter should have been placed in the classwork category only. There was an exception for elementary ESOL because of the nature of that course and the instruction of that course. But just a reminder, as we approach the grading window, which just opened today for teachers, that all of your assignments should be in the classwork category only. Okay?
Thank you, Tia.
Sure, Milton.
So the page that you're seeing right now is the copy of the student individualized grade report. And this is a very important report for you to use for the fourth quarter. You can use this as a troubleshooting tool as well, because this will show you what type of assignments you have in your grade book and what categories they have been assigned to. So if you run this report for fourth quarter, which the dates are 414 to 615, excuse me, 414 to 615. That'll give you the student grade average, but it'll also show you what assignments were assigned to the various categories that's in the system. So please make sure that you run this report and check the assignment category assignment to ensure that the students get the proper grades. Next slide. This slide shows you how to run the individualized student grade report. The dates that we have here is 9/3/2019 to 6/15. Using those dates will allow you to run the report for the entire class for the entire school year. But I also recommend that you run the report for the fourth quarter only, and then print and save that to a PDF document on your computer so that you have access to the grades during the time frame when SchoolMax is unavailable for rollover. So that's all we have right now for SchoolMax, and we're going to transition to the question and answer phase of the seminar.
All right, so Ashana is going to open up the chat. Good afternoon. My name is Tia Simmons, also with the Technology Training Team. The chat window is open for your questions. If you have questions on the last two topics that we covered, please just be aware that we will try to catch the questions as soon as possible, but the chat window starts flying pretty quickly. Okay? Will we be Do assignments need to be entered in classwork or just for fourth quarter? So the classwork category was just for fourth quarter. Quarters 1, 2, and 3, all assignments should stay where they are. Directions on how to run the individualized student report is actually in a number of places, and there's a lot of information that's out there. If you check the closeout document, it is listed in the School Max section. Your grade manager should also have a checklist that they will share with you or have shared with you regarding grading, so you can use that as well. Okay. Let's see. Running reports for the whole year and just fourth quarter. If you're talking about the individualized student report, from the teacher perspective, we're asking teachers to run it for third and fourth quarter. Ronlyn has posted the individualized student report link in chat. We'll get that put in there again so that we can make sure that you have it, but it is also located in the closeout document. Your grade managers are really a valuable source of information because we share with them everything we have from T3 that's needed for grading. So please also find out who your grade manager is in your building and tap into them for information as well. Okay. If you had grades in oral and written communication prior to 414, delete them. Nope, you everything as is in your grade book before the start of distance learning. All right. I've never used the grading section of Google Classroom. Is that a problem? It's not. It'll simply just be blank when you go in to rename it. And again, we're recommending just to have that naming convention so that when we start school again in the fall, and if we're doing maybe a modified distance learning or another full distance learning, you'll be able to separate and distinguish your Google Classrooms from fourth quarter versus the start of the school year. Do you have to be on school Wi-Fi to run the student report? No. The individualized student report is straight from your grade book, which is School Max that you can access from home. Okay.
If there was a question about whether or not to run a report only for seniors, you should run a report for your entire course section. That'll get all your students.
Yes. Thank you, Milton. I see a question. I'm teaching about 400 students. Should I print and save them as PDF? Nope, just save them. And then you're going to actually share that file with your grade manager. Part of the reason we do this is because when we come back in the fall and we have to address missing grades and grade appeals from parents and outstanding work that students are able to make up, we need to have a record to be able to go back to, okay? Let me just say this as we bring the chat window to a close. I know there are lots of questions on how to run the report. What am I supposed to be doing for the checklist here? Like, what's really going on? Number one, reach out to your grade managers. They have what you need. There's about 2 or 3 documents that we have that we've shared with teachers. And trust me, I know it's a lot because it was a lot to write them as an office, but we wanted to keep you the most informed. So there's a few places to check. The closeout document will get you what you need for closing out of Google Classroom and the things that Ashana mentioned. Your grade manager can get you what you need, directions on how to run the individualized student report. I know we also pasted that in chat as well. And we thank you for your support in this process. All right, we're going to go ahead and close the chat and get ready to transition to our next topic. So get your quiz brains ready because we're going to switch over. And these particular polls coming up are going to be on file storage. What do you think you already know about storing files securely? So we are going to, Milton and myself are actually going to turn this portion of our training over to our colleague, Ms. Rolland Dandy, who's going to walk you through the next section of fact or fiction.
Good afternoon, everyone. As chat is turning off, here comes the poll. The poll is coming up, so if you could take a moment to respond to the poll. The first question: of all files with personal identifiable information, staff or students should be removed from your device. Is that fact or fiction? Number 2, you can organize and store your files in folders in Google Drive. Is that fact or fiction? And number 3, there is no need to update or check file sharing settings on documents stored in Google Drive. Is that fact or fiction? So go ahead and put in your responses. Put thinking caps on and think about data breaches that you may have heard on the news. If you have not done so, please make sure that your microphone is muted. All right, the poll has ended. So we'll address those questions and those answers right now. If you have personal files, images, those should be removed or relocated. So removed and or relocated from your device. All right. So that means any files with personal identifiable information should be removed or relocated. Okay. Those, what your goal is to keep student and staff information secure. All right. Identify any sensitive information that is a person's personal information. You want to make sure that when you're considering file storage and security, that all student and staff information is kept private. Documents with identifiable information should be removed or relocated. And you want to make sure as you're removing and relocating documents and files, you want to make sure that you check your download folder for documents. Because sometimes when you download folders, depending on the browser and the type of computer, usually the type of computer you're using, those documents will go to your download folder first, and they'll be stored there. So you want to make sure that you remove any documents from the download folder, and then you're going to trash them if you're not going to remove them. And remember, if you move anything to the trash or the recycle bin, you have to empty the trash or empty the recycle bin, because it stays in the trash on that computer until you remove it. All right. One of the best things to know is, actually, you see those images on the screen? One of them is a flash drive. Then we have an external hard drive. Those are optimal places for you to store your personal information. Now, what we have for the district, if they're county files, county information, they should be stored in Google Drive, which is most secure. And when you store them in Google Drive, know that you've got lots and lots of storage there. For example, our second item that's on there, it asks, can you organize and store information in Google Drive in folders? Yes, you can. That is true. So you can create folders within Google Drive. You can also create folders within folders in Google Drive. So that gives you the opportunity to really organize your items. All right. If you look at the images there, when you go to Google Drive, you can add a folder and put files, upload files to folders. Additionally, if you are just sitting in front of the television and you decide you're going to clean up your desktop and clean up your computer, you can create a folder and move the documents that you want to eventually upload to Google Drive into a folder. And then when you have an opportunity to go online, you can actually upload the entire folder to Google Drive, and it'll keep all of your files intact. So just know that. Now, additionally, as you're uploading that information to Google Drive, you want to make sure that you check to share that information with appropriate staff. So that number 3, where it says there is no need to update or check file sharing, that is fiction. You want to make sure that you update sharing and check sharing. And just with Google, Google makes changes all the time. If you looked at sharing maybe 2 weeks ago, it looks different than it does look today. So if you click on that share file, once you open a file in Google Drive, there's a share icon. If you click share icon, you can share it with individual people, and you can also share with groups. That's something that's different. Additionally, if you own the document, if it is yours and originally uploaded by you, in that share area, you'll get a cogwheel, and that cogwheel is on the right side of your screen. That cogwheel will allow you to open up advanced share settings. And in that advanced share settings area, you can actually not only name the people who have access, but you can also define their access. For example, you can make it so editors or viewers, anybody who has access to the document, is not able to share it with anyone else. And you can make sure that they are not able to make a copy. They are not able to download it or print it, which is really, really secure. So you have lots of really secure settings. Okay. So to that end, I want to give you just some final tips and tricks that have to do with storage and security of your documents that you store anywhere in Google Drive as well. So you want to make sure when you're creating documents or you're getting your files ready to store that you create consistent naming conventions for your files. For example, if you're creating a file that you'll need to access in order to teach fractions, you should name that file fractions. And then if you're doing it in quarter 1, you might list that it's quarter 1. So you might say fractions _ quarter 1. So just think about the naming convention. You want to also use short names. So you don't want to name a file a whole group of 7 words. All right. You want to make sure that name is short and concise. Organize your folders and subfolders in Google Drive. That makes it so you can find things from year to year. It's really helpful. And to that end, make sure that you create, it might be a good idea to create a master file folder for each school year. That means when you go into Google Drive, you will see a folder that may be called SY Files SY 2020. And inside that folder, you could have another folder for each content area you're teaching, or it could be each classroom that you're teaching. All right. Then you could also put a folder in that 2020 school year folder that's called student grading data. And you may be able to save all of your files that might be that individualized student progress report or student report. So just think about that as you're storing your files and getting ready to close things out this year. And those super organizers who really love to organize things by color know that you can do that also in Google Drive. You can create folders that are specific colors in order to help keep you organized. Okay, so I hope you really got some good information on storage and security. And we're going to move to our next topic, our next poll, which has to do with fact or fiction regarding videos. And I'm going to pass that over to Sarah. Oh, Clarence, yes.
Now, is Sarah there? I think she was having some technical problems, right? Sarah, were you able to get in?
I think that Clarence, you're it.
So I think it's going to be me. Yeah, because I saw she was trying to get in, but for some reason she was having some problems. But anyway, we're going to move on to videos, everybody. And I'm Clarence Howes. Good to be with you today. Just like you've seen the other sections, we've got another quiz for you. So we're going to give you 1 minute to complete this quiz. And question 1, all of your Screencastify videos get automatically saved to a folder in your Google Drive. Is that fact or fiction? Also, once you post a Flipgrid topic, is it there forever? Fact or fiction? And you can find tutorials for Meet and Zoom on YouTube. Fact or fiction? So we're going to give you about a little less than 30 seconds now to try to finish up, and we'll go from there. And possibly Sarah may join us, but if not, we will carry through. And please know she's a great resource for these tools as well. Okay, so it looks like time is up. And let's see how everybody did. I hope you're keeping track of how you're doing. So far, it seems like the group is doing extremely well. We've got a knowledgeable group with us today. So what were our totals? How did we finish up of our polling? And it looks like number 1 is fact. Okay. Like number 2, it looks like we have it's kind of close there, right? Folks really not so sure, but we're kind of close. Also, number 3 looks like a fact, but we're going to go through the slides and let's talk about it together for just a minute. So, video recording is it looks like video recording closeout. Let's make sure. Now, is this our first slide? This is our second one. Make sure we're on the right slide. Okay, so. Did you know you can hide or freeze topics in Flipgrid so that students don't add more videos over the summer? You can also hide entire grids. Okay, so for those of you that didn't know that, you can certainly do that in Flipgrid. Next slide, please. Also, did you know Screencastify auto-generates a folder in your Google Drive, which is helpful for easy locating and bulk downloading? And also, as many of you may know already, if you need training in any of these areas, we can offer that. Google Drive also helps with Screencastify, so just let us know. Next slide, please. Also, did you know that YouTube is a great place to go to find tutorials on Zoom and Google Meet in case you get stuck? It just really is. You can find almost anything on YouTube. but it's a great place anytime, 24 hours a day, if you need a quick tutorial on how to get things done in Zoom and Google. But also, please do not forget, there are also videos available on our remote teaching site, which is bit.ly PGCPS remote teaching. So please join us there. In addition to, feel free to reach out to T3 at any point if we can help in these areas. Next slide, please. Also, just a few more tips and tricks. Per MSDE guidelines, student faces or voices should never appear in recordings on Meet or Zoom. If they appear by mistake, please remove the videos. We also recommend that you download videos you record in Google Meet and rename them in Google Drive for easier retrieval. Also, on Zoom and Meet, please remember that you have a screen sharing options, which makes it easy to share with your students or certainly with colleagues as you prepare for next year. It's a great way just to also share really what you're working on when you're working in Zoom or Meet. We suggest you familiarize yourself with these tools to maximize instruction. Next, I think we're about ready for our Q&A. So we're ready for our Q&A. Also, there's a site that we're going to post that will answer many of these questions. So just let us know. And so me and the team are kind of looking at this right now. So if anybody has questions, if not, you can certainly reach out to us at any point. But we're available at this point to answer questions if you need that. Okay, and so far I'm looking at the chat, and I do not see anything yet. Also, someone had a question, said, should recordings from classes be deleted or removed from Drive? And the answer to that question, and please confirm for me, team, I believe they should just be deleted. You can just delete those from Drive, and that should be okay. Also, I'm just looking at some of the quick questions as they're coming across. How do you delete the recorded session? I see that. Also, how do you remove Google Meet from Google Classroom? Many of these are also going to be on our video site where we may be able to answer these questions for you. So just let us know, and we can certainly offer some assistance in that area. It's saying for some reason there's an issue with the polling issue. I see that. But just looking for something else that might be related to videos. Maybe we can answer a question at this time. I'm going to, also for everyone, I'm just going to post this site. This is going to be for the video. What I did, I just posted our site just for videos, which is for video tools, Zoom, and more. So if you have questions, many of these questions can be answered on our site. I'm just going to repost it again because I know I was muted. Or either feel free to reach out to T3. Of course, our email is t3@pgcps.org if we can help in any way. Okay, all right, and I thank you so much for everybody. And Dr. Thomas, Sarah, were you able to join us just to see if there was anything in closing? Is there anything else from the T3 team in closing that might also be helpful? All right, well, thank you. Well,
someone did ask about how are you to do sessions without recording without students and videos and faces. You can do them with videos and faces, but you're required not to record them. So that's the difference. You can do them, you just are not supposed to record them per MSDE.
Awesome. Thank you, Ronald. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Patrick. I will facilitate the password section for our presentation this afternoon. In a short time, you will be receiving your polling. So please answer the 3 questions on the poll. So you will have about 60 seconds to do that. And I will come back later to see how you did. About 20 seconds to go. About 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Finishing up. And time is up. Okay, let's see how you did during this section. The first question we had was, you can reset your PGCPS password from home. Is that a fact or fiction? And the answer to that, it is a fact. The next question, you don't need your old password to reset your password, fact or fiction? And the answer to that is fiction. And the third question, you go to this portal, https://idm.pgcps.org to reset your password, and the answer to that is fact. So anytime you need to reset your password from home, or even if you're at your school building, you can always access idm.pgcps.org to reset your password. Once you go to that portal, you will be presented with a login page. And on that login page, you will put your username and your password and sign in. Once you sign in, you will be presented to the next page. And on the next page, you will see some boxes. One of those boxes will be my information box. You will click on the icon on top of the my information. So please make sure you're clicking on the icon and not on the word, because the link is actually the icon. Okay, so click on the icon, and once you click on the icon, you will scroll down to the bottom of the page and you will see the change password section. On the change password section, you will put your old password, you will enter your new password, you will confirm your new password, and once you do that, you will click outside of the password box to activate the apply button. The apply button will turn green. Once it's green, you can click on that button to reset your password. And this is how you reset your password from IDM. Now, let me point out some information to you, useful information you will need to know about resetting password. So please note, your password must have at least 8 characters with a combination of letters, symbols, and numbers. If you do not have 8 characters in your password reset may not be successful. Also note that your password cannot be closely related. By that I mean you do not have a password that is extremely close to the one you just changed, the one you had before. An example of that is, let's say your old password was Patrick123, and then your new password is 123 Patrick. You cannot do that because those passwords will be too closely related. That may give you some issues in terms of syncing your password with our system. So please make sure that your passwords are not closely related. So let's give you more information about other issues you may encounter while setting up your password. It will take about between 30 to 2 hours, 30 minutes to 2 hours for your password to sync with all of our PGCPS servers. By that, I mean your password will be syncing with IDM and also with Active Directory. So during that time frame, you may have delayed access to our system. For example, let's say you just changed your password and you realize you can log into your email, but you cannot log into SchoolMax, or you can log into SchoolMax and then you cannot log into Oracle. So that's because your password has not synced yet with all of our servers. So this is why we tell you that you may have a delay in terms of your password replicating on all of our servers. So please keep this in mind. Also, let's say you forgot your password. If you forgot your old password, how can you reset your password in IDM? Well, we do have a protocol for you to do that. And the way you would do that is you will go back to IDM and you will log in. Once, while you're logging in, you will put your user ID. And then instead of putting your old password, which you forgot, you will click on the forgot password button at the bottom of the page. So once you click on the forgot password button, you will be presented with a new page asking you for the answers to your security questions. So you must know the answers to your security questions. If you don't know the answers to your security questions, you will not be able to reset the password. In this case, you will need to contact your school password administrator or your school IT tech, and they will be able to reset the password for you using the Active Directory system. So it's very important. If you cannot remember your old password, you cannot remember your security questions, so contact your school password administrator or your school IT tech so that they can reset your password using Active Directory. Now, sometimes when your password is reset through Active Directory, you may have some syncing issues. And if you have syncing issues, and then an example of syncing issues will be you can log into SchoolMax, but you cannot log into your email, and vice versa. So please, if this is your issue, open a help desk ticket to the attention of enterprise system or email services. So keep note that the technician at the help desk, they will not be the one changing your password or solving your issue. So this is why it is important for you to make sure that your ticket is assigned to enterprise system or email services. And once that has been done, you will be receiving some information about your password, and either enterprise system or email services will fix that password issue for you. So on that note, we will move on to our Q&A to take some questions about password. Please do not unmute yourself. Put your questions in the chat window and we will address them the best we can. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Questions about password. My password is okay for everything but logging into my computer. So because your computer may not have been inside our firewall, so if you are using, let's say, a PC, a Windows computer, you can always do, and your password is good on all of our PGCPS system, you can always do a Control-Alt-Delete to change your password on your PC. If you are using a Mac, you can go to your profile setting, go to the settings and go to your My Profile and then change your password there. Let's see, do we need to change the password next week? No, you do not need to change your password next week. You just need to change your password if you receive an email from the school system saying that your password is about to expire and then you're at the end of your 90 days window. So then at that time, you can reset your password. But if you recently change your password, let's say in the last 15 days or in the last 30 days, you do not need to change your password over the summer. Let's see what we have here. How do we get the password to sync? It has been over a week since. If your password is not syncing, so please open a help desk ticket to the attention of enterprise system or email services. I tried IDM, it never worked to me. Please make sure that you're putting the proper address. It has to be idm.pgcps.org. The first time you do it, you may get an error message. If you refresh that screen, it should be able to let you back in to log into that system. You will open, if your email or your password is not syncing, you will open a help desk ticket. And on that help desk ticket, you will ask that this ticket be assigned to enterprise system or email services. How often do we have to change the password? You only need to change your password every 90 days. Per county regulation, every 90 days you can change your password. If you desire to change your password earlier than that, you can always do that. You can always go to IDM and change your password then. But every 90 days, the school system will require you to change your password. Somebody asked, how often should I check my email during the summer? As often as you would like. Any other questions about password? And I changed my password yesterday and my laptop is only accepting my old password. That is because your machine may not have been within the firewall, which is inside of our PGCPS domain. If you go close to your school and you are able to log in on the private system, that will allow you to sync your password then. If not, you will probably need to wait until you go back to your building. Now, if that is not working for you, as I said before, you can always reset the password on your machine manually by going, if you're using a Mac, you go to your settings and you click on my profile and then you will see your profile. It will ask you to change your password if you want to. Or if you're using a Windows computer, you can always go do Control-Alt-Delete key combination, Control-Alt-Delete, and then click reset password, and then you can reset your password for that machine right there. But that is provided that your password is already good with all of the other Prince George's County Public School system. Thank you very much for your questions. On that note, we will transition to some more resources we have in store for you. Thank you. And Wan Ling?
All right, everybody, how'd you do? I hope everybody did well on their points for fact or fiction. If you look and remember if you kept count, each one is worth 5 points. So I hope you all did well. Unfortunately, we don't have prizes for you. Actually, we do have a prize. We have inner stickers for everybody. So everybody gets an inner sticker for participating today and for getting all the information that we presented today in our powering down session. All right. So in closing, we have a few final thoughts for today. Make sure that you access your closeout documents. There are specific closeout documents that you'll need to access with more information about closing out. Remember to send final communications to your students and parents. If you have students, it's a great idea to send them a final closeout email or correspondence just to check in with them and tell them, that your session with them this year is ending and have to have a safe, wonderful summer. And also, you want to give them summer contact information. If you're going to be not available or you're not going to be checking your email, put that information there on that summer communication. You also can do a summer communication vacation responder, which if you go into your email and click on the cogwheel, it's in the upper right hand corner for your settings. You can actually set up a vacation responder or out of office responder that we usually call it, that says how they can contact the school if they need to contact someone, or just to let them know that you won't be checking your email regularly because you do need a little time to rest and relax. You might not say it in those words, but you can let them know that if they need immediate assistance, they might want to contact the school. Okay. Finally, power down. That's what we want everybody to do. reflect on your teaching and your teaching practice and how things worked out during this closure. We had a very eventful end of the school year. So reflect on the tools that you use and how you can use them when we come back. But again, reflect on that and also build time in for summer training. We are going to be having some summer trainings and they're going to be listed in my PPS. And we're going to give you some save the date sessions just before we close out today. But I wanted to let you know too that there are resources that we have available for you. This presentation, a recording of it, and our slides are going to eventually be put on our remote teaching site. So you'll see this presentation and the links that are in the presentation will be active. So you'll be able to go through the presentation and click on the links to get to different resources. So one of those resources that is very important is the PGCPS Remote Teaching Toolkit. That's one that we've mentioned. Those items too are going to be put in the chat as we're going through. We have end of year closeout documents for all groups. We have them for teachers, school staff, central office, and families. Those are going to be listed as well. We also have information about how to access the individualized student report and the fourth quarter teacher report card checklist. Those are very good documents to check on. You want to check that grading one. That's a really important one as well. So we got two more things we want to show you, but remember to complete the session attendance for today. And that information is going into the chat area. There'll be a link there in the chat area, but if you don't get to that link, it's at the Remote Teaching Toolkit site. You're going to first select Powering Down Schedule, the Powering Down Schedule. And when you get to that Powering Down Schedule page, you'll see two areas. One on the left is for webinar attendance. You can click on the attendance form to do attendance. And then on the one on the right is the teacher's year-end survey. We want you to make sure that you do that survey because it helps inform us as to the kind of trainings that you would like to have and gives us feedback on the ones that you've had so far. One of the very important things about the webinar attendance is that you want to make sure that you enter the section. The section is not something that you have to select. You actually have to type it in. The section for this session is 20810. The attendance form, remember, you can go to the Remote Teaching Toolkit website and then you can add, you'll go to the page that is called Powering Down. And I will go ahead and put that link in the chat area again for everybody. Today's session again is 20810, and you have to enter that information. All right, you have to enter that information. All right. So again, we're going to stay on for just a few moments. We are past our time. We're supposed to end at 2:30. It is 2:31. So we'll give you about 30 seconds and then we're going to go ahead and end the session. Again, if you have a question, please type it in the chat area. If you want to contact the help desk, you need assistance for with doing getting your password changed. That's probably going to take you a long time and may take a while to get in touch with them, but their phone number is 301-386-1549. 301-386-1549. 301-386-1549. That is the help desk number. Again, the best way for you to change your password when you are not at the building is to go to this site. I'm going to pop it in there. It's the IDM. All right, that's where you'll reset your password. You go to http://idm.pgcps.org. Okay. The session does not show up. You have to type in the session. Type in the session for today. The session for today is on the screen. It is 20810. 20810. All right, we'll be closing the session now. Everybody have a wonderful, safe summer.